Today, we're going to be ranking every single mainline Call of Duty game from Call of Duty 1 up to Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Roman numeral 2 or Modern Warfare 2 2022, whatever you want to call it. So, yeah, I couldn't find, unfortunately, I could not find a tier list on this tier maker thing. It had a list that did not have, like, non-mainline Call of Duty games. Like, there was another really good one I found as well, but it had, like, Call of Duty like Finals Hour, Call of Duty Victory, and all those types of games, and like types of Call of Duty Zombie, the mobile game, and all that. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I've not played those games enough, and I don't want to rank them. This was the best one I could find for three non-mainline games. I'm not counting Warzone as the mainline game. Warzone is not a mainline game. Plus, Warzone 1, unfortunately, is going to be disappeared. And like, I think a month or 2 months, ain't it? It's getting shut down. It's kind of crazy. I never liked Warzone. I'm not a battle royale person, but that's kind of sad in a way. You know, it's going to be unplayable. So we will be ranking the games based off every single feature of the game, every single game mode. So when I mean by the game mode, so most games have three game modes. So you have like the zombie mode or the survival type of mode. We have the multiplayer and you have the campaign. I get a lot of the older Call of Duty games only have two main game modes. They don't have three game modes, and some of the new Call of Duty games have like 4 or 5, have a little bit more. But that's just the way it is. It has to be part of the paid product though. It cannot be like a thing that you can get for free. For example, like Warzone 1, Warzone 2. That is a free product, and sure, you can make the argument say that is part of the game, but it still uses the background of the original game. Kind of like Warzone 1. Warzone 1's, if you would still use like 2019 background, even if you had Vanguard or something like that. But anyway, let's start from the very, very beginning. So Call of Duty 1, 2003. Now I'm going to be straight up honest with you. Call of Duty 1 it's an alright game, but back during the PlayStation 2 era and the original Xbox and the PC days, obviously Call of Duty 1 was only a PC exclusive, granted. I'm not entirely sure, but I think Finest Hour might have been a console port of Call of Duty 1, but it might have been a completely different game. I don't know, let me know in the comment section about that. I actually want to do a playthrough of Finest Hour one day on the channel. I'm not sure when, but we'll see. We'll see. I want to do a playthrough of that, so I can comment on that. I comment more on about that. So the original Call of Duty game was interesting. It had a help bar on that. However, during that time of the era, more people were more into playing games like Medal of Honor. Medal of Honor was like the big World War II shooter, not Call of Duty back then. The Call of Duty, the old Call of Duty games were very buggy, had a lot of issues with them, especially the original Call of Duty. It had a health bar system as well. But I'm just going to put it in the middle. I'm going to give it a C tier because it's not a special game. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible. If you've never played it before, you probably should play it. Just so the experience what the franchise originally came from. Also, don't have any custom classes, nothing like that. Create a class, you just had to deal with the class, whatever the class the game gave. It's kind of like the old Battlefield games. The original Battlefield games were kind of like that as well, where it had like no class system. You just picked whatever you had. So yeah. Next is Call of Duty 2. Now, Call of Duty 2, it's just like Call of Duty 1, but really improved on most things of Call of Duty 1. Had a bit of a better campaign, was a bit better. It didn't have health, it had health regen, which was a nice feature. It didn't have sprint, however, unless you're gonna lose like a mod or something like that. It was a bit better in Call of Duty 1, I'll say that, but I'm gonna give it the C tier as well. These original Call of Duty games are really hard to rank. I need to do a replay and like replay these games one day and give a better perspective of them, but a lot of people don't care about it. And to be honest, a lot of people in the Call of Duty franchise don't watch the first three games even exist. Let's be honest. Next is Call of Duty 3. Now, Call of Duty 3. Also, Call of Duty 2 was the first Call of Duty game that came on. That had the same version as the PC version, but you had to have the Xbox 360. You got the same as the PC version. Other platforms, you got Big Red 1, which, to be honest, I'm not even sure if it was the same game. It might have just been the PlayStation 2 port. Who knows? Who knows? I don't know. So Call of Duty 3. So Call of Duty 3 was Treyarch's first Call of Duty game. Treyarch used to, if you don't know what Treyarch did before Call of Duty, Treyarch made the Spider-Man games, you believe it or not. They made Spider-Man 2, which was probably one of the original best classic Spider-Man games ever. I mean, it was crazy how Treyarch went from making Spider-Man games to Call of Duty games. Yeah. A lot of people probably don't know about that. Certainly an interesting time. However, Call of Duty 3, it was only a console. First problem with Call of Duty 3 was a console exclusive. A lot of people didn't like the multiplayer. It had like bigger maps and tanks and that type of stuff, which is certainly interesting in its own way, but it didn't really feel like COD 1 and 2. Also, the performance was pretty awful depending on what platform you played. Like the PlayStation 3 version of Call of Duty 3, some reason only played at 30 FPS compared to the 360 version, played at 60 FPS, which is very, very strange. That's the only Call of Duty game that was like that, by the way, chat. So yeah, I'm seeing chat like I'm streaming. This is how why I make videos. I just do live streaming all the time. They're also on YouTube if anyone's curious. Exact same channel. So the next Call of Duty is a big one. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. The original Modern Warfare game. Now, my first Call of Duty game was Call of Duty 3. But Call of Duty 4, it's just create a class, score streaks, even though the score streaks were really basic. There was like 3 score streaks. A bit broken, overpowered perks, I agree. Pretty decent campaign. A pretty good campaign. I wouldn't say it's the best. All Gilly maps, the mission everybody remembers. All Gillied up. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, a very, very, very good game. I'm going to be generous. You know what? You know what? I'm going to give it the S tier. I'm going to give Call of Duty 4 the S tier. Just because what it did. What it did. It made the franchise like from nothing to popular. Call of Duty 4 was the type of game that competed with Halo at the time. Granted, Halo 3 actually did better than Call of Duty 4 on Xbox platform, but if you count other platforms, Call of Duty 4, I'm pretty sure managed to compete with Halo 3 at the time. So it was a massive game. It improved so much. It even introduced like gold camo, not very basic. It wasn't really improved until the future games. It was certainly interesting. Now, the next Call of Duty game on this list, which for some reason I cannot find, it's Call of Duty, whatever, it's Call of Duty World at War. World at War. Super real. Okay. I seen a review actually recently, Call of Duty World at War campaign. And it's actually quite unhistorically accurate, surprisingly. I thought it was because there's a lot of errors in that they made, but they made it feel like a proper World War II game. Even the original Call of Duty trilogy, it felt more like it's like the brutality of war and the awful stuff and all that. And it was pretty realistic. Sure, there were some errors in that they made in historic accuracy, but the Russian campaign, absolutely amazing, S tier campaign. American campaign wasn't the best. It was decent. It was pretty good. I'd probably give it like an A, maybe a B tier if I was ranking the campaigns alone. Maybe an A. I don't know, an A or an A sometimes. As for the multiplayer kind of like it was really pretty much just a clone of COD 4, but set in World War II instead of the modern day era. It had some really really good multiplayer maps like Castle, Dome, Zambo. That obviously COD 4 had some great multiplayer maps like Shipment and all that type of stuff. But yeah. And zombies, it was the first introduction of zombies. Now, World at War Zombies, okay, it was a bit basic. I will be honest, it was a bit basic for its time, but it was really good. World at War. Also, on the PC version, it had official mod support. Of course, all these Call of Duty games kind of did have some sort of proper mod support. The original Call of Duty games, which was amazing, but those were the last Call of Duty game that had like the best mod support at the time. There wouldn't be as great mod support that World at War had until Black Ops 3, believe it or not. Even though Black Ops 1 had official mod support, it was nowhere near compared to World at War. But I'm going to give World at War the top of A tier. Absolutely amazing. Loved it. Obviously, it had the basic system as well. I forgot to mention that in Call of Duty 4. It was literally just Call of Duty 4, but I get why some people didn't like it. Some people were sick of World War II games at the time and people wanted more modern games, and I get that's why Call of Duty 4 was so revolutionised. That's why I'm keeping Call of Duty 4 the S tier. Next is Modern Warfare 2. Let's start with the campaign. Betray, all that type of stuff. General Shepard, all that. The missions were certainly interesting. Found out Makarov, the story. It was kind of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is kind of like the story, the campaign in Modern Warfare 2 is kind of like between Halo 1 and Halo 2. Like, obviously, it's not as big as a jump as Halo 1 to Halo 2's like plot and that, but it is I would say it's an improvement over Call of Duty 4's campaign when it comes to that alone. It also increased. So that's the campaign. As for the multiplayer was really, really fun, but very, very broken. But people love broken multiplayers, believe it or not. I love multiplayer games that are kind of can be broken over. But when I mean broken in a good way. I don't mean broken like the game is unplayable or that type of stuff. But it certainly has lifted up over time. Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the original Modern Warfare 2 is absolutely iconic. Now, there is one downside about Modern Warfare 2, the original, and that was probably the Spec Up mode. It was alright. Like, the Spec Up, it was probably the second best carnation of the Spec Up mode we ever had behind not the next Call of Duty, but the Call of Duty we're going to mention after that. Um, just basic survival missions, and you only, not basic survival, only basic Spec Up missions, and you had to play with friends. And people had problems with the buggy multiplayer and the guns not getting nerfed and quite a rage fest and had a lot of issues, and I completely understand that. And for that I'm gonna give it an A tier because plus I didn't even want to go to a fucked on when it came out, to be completely honest with you. I played other games, by the way, I didn't just play Call of Duty. That's another thing you forget to mention. Like most kids just play Call of Duty 4. I played other games as a kid. I enjoyed other games as a kid. I enjoyed other games as a kid. I didn't just play Call of Duty. I was terrible at FPS. I felt other games, but I played them. But I probably could have played them more. But anyway, the next Call of Duty game is going to be Black Ops 1. Here it is. Campaign. Very good campaign. Pretty realistic, granted. Obviously, it's Call of Duty, not a realistic campaign, but it's about like what they done back that time period, like the torture, the interrogation, what they called again, not brainwashing. It's kind of short, brainwashing. It's not coming to my head the word, but see, I don't script these by the way when I was curious. That type of stuff. That one's okay. The villains weren't the best, but they weren't as good as General Shepard and Modern Warfare 2. I agree with all that, but Call of Duty never really had a villain really until like Modern Warfare, until like the original Modern Warfare 2. They don't have like an antagonist. But really, 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 really good campaign. Very good. They brought back Reznov, which is an amazing thing they did from World at War and the brainwashing and all that type of that. It was really, really, really cool, and I would say the campaign was probably S tier as well. As for the multiplayer was pretty decent as well. Now, most people did not snipe in multiplayer. If you were a sniper in multiplayer, sure, I can get it. You probably had problems. If you love sniping in the original Modern Warfare 2, you probably like, what the frick? Why is the sniping so crap? Black Ops 1? Okay, that might be a valid criticism. But FaZe Clan and that didn't really exist back then, so they can say all they want, but they were big. They were around, but they weren't like massive. But it did improve upon Modern Warfare 2. It had like the original quad point system where you could unlock stuff whenever you wanted. Machines obviously style your stats got reset. It had 50 machines, so it increased the machine icon. It had wager matches. It had party type of game modes. It was the first Call of Duty game that introduced character game modes. It introduced theatre mode as well. So overall, it was an improvement over, despite the fact that it might have nerfed snipers and snipers were kind of unusable in Black Ops 1. It made improvements over Modern Warfare 2 and other features. Now, there were overpowered guns as well, but the game felt more balanced. The time to kill was a bit more fair. This was Treyarch's first game where Treyarch actually now the hit detection was a little bit off in Black Ops 1 multiplayer every now and then. I agree with all that. That was a little bit of a problem. And the fact that you could camp with ghosts was a bit broken, but camping wasn't a massive issue in Black Ops 1. Camping never really became a massive issue until like, I mean, it was an issue back in the day, but it was never as big as what came when skill-based matchmaking got introduced, where everyone's getting encouraged to camp. And the zombies. Oh, come on. Every casual, if you mention Call of Duty Zombies, everyone's going to say Kino the Total. Everybody in the freaking history notebooks knows freaking Kino the Total. Absolute iconic, classic. I know people in the Call of Duty zombie community will be like, oh, that map sucks. And well, you're a hardcore player base. You're not like the 90% casual player base that played the game and actually really enjoyed zombies. And the DLC section was really good as well. And it was the first Call of Duty game. Well, nah, actually, World at War we've had 3 DLCs, but it was the first Call of Duty game that actually had 4 DLCs. Also had the World at War remastered maps for zombies as well. So that I'm going to be putting it in the S tier. Absolutely amazing. Nothing, not really wrong with it. Absolutely amazing. Next, we have Modern Warfare 3. So, Modern Warfare 3 was mixed between Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer Games. I'm sure you already know the story, what happened in Infinity Ward in 2010, so Sledgehammer Games had to help them with it. And it's granted, I think the flaws of this game probably were done by Sledgehammer Games, not done by Infinity Ward. And no offence, but Sledgehammer Games have never really been good at Call of Duty, but we'll talk more about that later. We'll talk more about that later. So let's start with the campaign. So the campaign was decently good. I would say the missions were a bit of a downgrade over the original Modern Warfare 2. And I would even say COD 4 as well, to be honest. Some of the missions were better in COD 4. Also, the way it looked, the graphics kind of looked worse in Modern Warfare 3. It felt more like it used the engine of COD 4 rather than the original Modern Warfare 2. And I think a lot of people actually agree with me that Modern Warfare 3, if we ever get a Modern Warfare 3 remaster, I think it would look really good. But the Modern Warfare 3 does look more like they're using older assets from COD 4 rather than the original Modern Warfare 2. It does look a little bit worse in cases. I think you would agree with that as well. If you've seen it, you'd be like, okay, this looks a little bit worse than the original Modern Warfare 2, the original Black Ops. It did actually there. So that's the campaign. Obviously, the campaign was a little bit downgraded. The ending was really good in that. Can't match up from that, but I'd say it was a little bit downgrade. As for the multiplayer, I like Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer, but they did have issues. First issue was like it had 80 levels. Now, people might say, oh, more levels, more better. Then they introduced like an extra 10 besiegers down there. So I had like 20 besiegers and you had like 80 levels. It did introduce Infected, which is still the best Infected way mode ever in Call of Duty history. I mean, Halo, I know Halo was the big one that introduced Infected first, right? Halo 2 custom matches and Halo 3 and Halo Reach. But Infected in Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 3 was better than Infected than in Halo. Much better. Like, they did it actually proper based on Last Survivor, not just, oh, you win by getting the highest. I don't actually like the way Halo does Infected. I actually think Modern Warfare 3 actually did Halo, it did Infected best, and it's still the best in this franchise when it comes to the Infected game mode. And I had a bunch more party modes in that, but unfortunately, down the line, these party modes just all went to custom games, unlike Black Ops 1 that they kept on public games. So you can't even play most of them in public game anyway, even like a year or two after the game came out. It really sucked. You can play like Gun Game or One in the Chamber on it because they put it all in custom games only, which I think was a missed opportunity. They should have kept that shit in public match. Also, the assassin perk, like the kill streak, you get like super perks on it, which was a really cool way into Venge. The support streaks, pretty controversial. Most of them were okay, but some of them were outright broken, such as the stealth bomber, which was kind of annoying. As for the spec up mode, I would actually say was an improvement over like Modern Warfare 2 spec up mode. I would say was pretty meh. The spec up mode for Modern Warfare 3, I would say was an improvement. Also, the survival mode as well. The DLC they added as well, that other game mode, Blitz or something, I can't remember the exact name of it, was also fun as well. But the survival mode was absolutely amazing. To this day, I think it's the best non-zombie game mode we have ever seen in a Call of Duty game, which is absolutely amazing. But I'm going to put it in the B tier because it had some flaws. I don't think it's a bad game personally. I could actually make the argument and say there's parts of Modern Warfare 3 that are probably better than Modern Warfare 2. The balancing was a lot better. It's probably, to this day, it's probably one of the most balanced Call of Duty games ever. But it's kind of got that clunky mechanic of the original Modern Warfare trilogy, which I feel like was less of an issue in the Treyarch games, believe it or not. Like, strangely, like Black Ops 1 and 2 feel like they played more smoother rather than Modern Warfare games. I don't know if it's because it was like that on the PlayStation 3 or something like that. Who knows? So next we got Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Call of Duty Black Ops 2 S tier when it comes to the campaign. Campaign is S tier. S tier campaign had them plot lines and all that type of stuff. Though it was kind of basic. But it's quite a brutal campaign. The strike missions were quite fun as well. And the fact that it's different endings and that was quite ahead for a Call of Duty game. I know one of my friends that actually don't like that for Call of Duty and just think it should be one ending. But me personally, I think the campaign is S tier. Multiplayer was very, very good. It fixed some of the issues wrong with Black Ops 1. The few issues that Black Ops 1 multiplayer had, such as like ghosts not working. Ghosts wouldn't work if you were standing still. But unfortunately, we would. And improved theater mode and all that as well, which was nice. But theater mode once again got hacked down the line as well. So, but it also introduced besieged maps and all that stuff, which was cool. And actually, when you reset, when you besieged, you didn't lose absolutely everything, unlike the older Call of Duty games, which is an amazing change. However, that was the only few things that actually did better Black Ops 1. It had some downgrades from Black Ops 1. Like, obviously, it had calling cards and all that emblems as well, which Black Ops 1 also had. But it removed a few things from Black Ops, like, believe it or not, a lot of people played the boot camp game mode in Black Ops 1. Yeah, a lot of people actually played that. We can level up and that, fighting bots and that. People love that. People like that. When you fight bots, you can level up and a lot of stuff. Even I like to do that occasionally in games. It's a fun just being overpowered and just absolutely annihilating. Everybody loves that in the game. I know not everybody's going to say, oh, some people don't care about that. But I had it didn't level up the session anyway. But I always think down the line when the game dies, they probably should have some sort of thing. But it also had some benefits as well, like introducing like league play in that, introduced new features. But also removed the pod point system as well. For I mean, I would probably say it's around about the same as Black Ops 1 multiplayer personally. I wouldn't give it higher, I wouldn't give it lower. I would also probably put the multiplayer on S tier as well. However, Black Ops 3, Black Ops 2, no, we're not talking about Black Ops 2 Zombies was pretty controversial. Controversial. Like, there were fun things about the mod, it had fun mechanics and it had mediocre mechanics. Like, a lot of things that people liked about Zombies was when Black Ops 2 started doing it, like, it had transit, it had bad maps like transit, and it did a terrible Nuketown port for the zombie mode. It was really bad. Die Rise, pretty awful map. Mob the Dead saved it, and Buried was pretty good as well, and so was Origins. But the zombie maps were kind of like half mid, half like at the time people would say they're F tier D tier maps, but I think over time the maps have slowly got better, slightly. But they're not as bad as they used to be. But when the game first came out, yeah, because we've had that worse zombie maps over the time. But it's the zombies. I can't put this in S tier. I cannot put it on S tier because I mean Black Ops 2 is a great game, but I'm looking at this on non-biased perspective as well. And me personally, I don't think Black Ops 2 belongs in S tier either because of the zombie game mode. It's just there's so many zombie maps that were flawed. There's just not enough zombie maps that are high enough, like a high enough category. Like you're only talking about two out of the well, like less than half the zombie maps are like a strong B or an A at least to for me to consider to put Black Ops 2 in an S tier. So unfortunately I cannot. And me personally, I actually prefer World at War over Black Ops 2, which yeah, kind of crazy. But anyway, next Call of Duty is Call of Duty freaking Ghosts. So Call of Duty Ghosts campaign is interesting. It's not a bad campaign. I would say the campaign was pretty, probably like a B tier type of campaign. It was alright, but unfortunately the ending, we never found out what happened. It didn't really make a lot of sense, the campaign at all, how they got invaded, how the South American invaded the game altogether. I wish it kind of explained that a bit better. And obviously the ending. The performance, by the way, in Call of Duty Ghosts. I did a playthrough of Call of Duty Ghosts like on PlayStation 4 on the channel, by the way, about 6 months ago, about a year ago. And there were points of the game where the game was running at like fucking 28, like 40 to 30 FPS, when quite often. And it's pretty fucking bad, the performance. And that was the best platform to play apart from DZ. So, pretty rough, the campaign. As for the multiplayer was pretty mid. Like, you couldn't, it didn't, you got care packages for killing people, and little drops would happen, like the operator system. The DLCs did improve the game, but it's got to be launched. Launch is what matters to make the game. First impressions is the most important. And a lot of people went back to Black Ops 2. Which was, did you know that Call of Duty Ghosts was also the last Call of Duty game they actually showed the player count on the game? They were that embarrassed. There was more people playing Black Ops 2 than Call of Duty Ghosts at one point during Ghost Cycle. Now, you look something like that online, I'm pretty sure you can find something like that. It's absolutely freaking ridiculous. As, it was alright. So the multiplayer was pretty mid. The multiplayer was more like a C to a D. I mean, I would say a C personally. Then we added the survival mode and all that, like the squad mode and all that. The survival mode was pretty meh. It was kind of just like Modern Warfare 3, but a bit of a downgrade. It wasn't too bad of a downgrade. I'd give it like a C. Extinction was interesting, but throughout the DLC cycle, the maps just got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. But I'm going to be generous, and I'm going to put Call of Duty in the C tier. Call of Duty goes in the C tier. I don't think it is bad as what people thought it would be. Like when it first came out, it was absolutely awful, but I think it has got better over time, especially as some of the newer Call of Duty games been worse and worse and worse. Okay, Advanced Warfare. So campaign Advanced Warfare was decent. Wasn't the best. Wasn't the wasn't the worst. I mean, the campaign was probably more like a B, maybe a C, depends what type of day you're in. The Kevin Spacey, you know, that getting betrayed, and all that. It was exosuits, so it was something. It was a different era. It was a different era of Call of Duty at the time. The exosuits were a bit overpowered and all that. As for the multiplayer straight up was fucking pay to win. The multiplayer, I know pretty much all these new Call of Duty games pretty actually are pay to win in a way, but they had like it's called Battle Duty for for a reason. You had the Syrian Steeds freaking stupidly broken, overpowered. We had the Squeaky Easy stupidly broken, overpowered, and the multiplayer. It had 15 Besieges, which was interesting, but then they added the additional 15 Besieges like Gold Besiege Master and Besiege Master 1 Besiege, all the way up to Besiege Master 15 that was called Grandmaster. Very strange ranking system. It was interesting for the time, but the multiplayer was. It was not too bad, but it was pretty pay to win. It was pretty pay to win, and like you had to unlock outfits for your character and all that, and it was probably a bit ahead of its time when it comes to player customization, which is kind of weird. Which you think would be a negative, I would say it's positive. As for the survival mode, like the survival mode was absolutely awful. It's kind of like Modern Warfare 2019 survival mode, where like the longer you survive, the more damage enemies do to eventually you just get one tap. Like you could be AFK in a glitch spot for an hour. I'm not saying to do that, but and not kill a single enemy, and they come at the glitch spot and you get one tap. Yeah, yeah, that actually does happen. That's how fucking bad the balance is. So it was probably a downgrade. It was like a D to maybe an F tier. The freaking survival mode. As for the zombie mode, well, the zombie mode was freaking DLC. So most people probably didn't even play the zombie mode. But I'll give you a quick review of the zombie mode. The zombie mode was pretty mediocre, more like a D tier. So I'm gonna give Advanced Warfare a D. I think it's better than Call of Duty 3, but that's about it. As for Black Ops 3, Black Ops 3 is an interesting one. Black Ops 3 is an interesting type of game. Oh man, this game is rough to rank. Black Ops 3 is rough to rank. I love Black Ops 3, but it's got its problems. Let's start with the campaign. Black Ops 3's campaign is absolutely fucking awful. Black Ops 3 campaign, if we're ranking the campaign, there. F tier. F tier. F tier, absolutely awful campaign, absolutely horrible campaign. Even that zombie mode, the campaign but zombies, that was a good idea on paper. If that was done on like, I don't know, Black Ops 1 or Black Ops 2, might have been an interesting type of game mode. But no, sorry. Deaders Arcade and Free Run were their own game modes. Deaders Arcade 2 I would say was an improvement over Deaders Arcade 1. So okay, cool. A reason I'm ranking Deaders Arcade because it's not in the same category as zombies, which is kinda interesting. Free run mode was alright. I mean, I'd put it in the middle. I'm not going to rank it because it's something you play once and you probably never play again unless you want to do some wall run practice. I mean, something you wouldn't really play much. Multiplayer. I practically played the exact same as Black Ops 2 multiplayer. The only difference was it had specialists, exosuit, and pay to win weapons. Pay to win. And because of that, because of pay to win weapons, I cannot give it. I can't give the multiplayer an S tier. It's instantly getting put down a tier because of pay to win. Instantly, so it's going down to A, the multiplayer, unfortunately. As for the zombies, I mean, the Gobblegums were kind of. Yeah, I mean, you could play zombies like Gobblegums, so. I mean, we'll see. Zombies, pretty good. Really, really good maps. It started off pretty meh, I would say, for the time when it first came out, the zombies. But it got better over time. Like they went from a lot of people didn't like Shadows, a lot of people played Giant, but then the Eisenhower was absolutely amazing. An S tier map, zombie map. Then we went to Shadows obviously got better over time from what we started to expect. Then we got okay zombie map, and then we got a pretty decent go on, and then we got an okay final map. But here's the thing that made Black Ops 3 get more points: the zombies. First, mod support, mod support, mod support, PC, which increases the game's life expectancy, increases the game's survival. It's still this day, I think it's still the most popular Call of Duty game. It's not a new Call of Duty game. Like, I reckon when the new Modern Warfare game comes in, when Modern Warfare 2022 player base kind of dies off, Black Ops will be more popular. Just the way it's going to happen. It's going to be crazy. Also, Zombie Chronicles. Zombie Chronicles. Zombie Chronicles and the zombie maps have just got better and better and better over teams. So the multiplayer will be S tier. Not the multiplayer. The zombies would be S tier. I would put the multiplayer in A tier. and the campaign would be an F tier. Now, this is an interesting one. I'm gonna put it down to the B tier, but I'd put it ahead of Modern Warfare 3. That in the chat, I would personally put Black Ops 3 higher, but I'm looking at the game from trying to look at the game from a non-biased perspective. I'm trying to look at the game from the game modes, what was awful about the game, what was really good in the game. Now, sure, people only did play the campaign once. That's the reason why I'm putting it at B as well, because you only really play the campaign once. You only play the campaign over and over again. Call of Duty for frick's sake. I mean, some of them are really good though. They're good to play like yearly. Okay, Infinite Warfare. Ooh, probably the most hated hype Call of Duty, most hated Call of Duty ever. When it comes to the dislike ratio, at the time it was. I mean, okay, let's talk about Infinite Warfare. Campaign. I'm going to be straight up honest. Infinite Warfare is probably one of the most overrated campaigns ever, and I mean it. It didn't really make a lot of sense. The villains like, oh, these Martians. Yeah, people live in Mars that want to destroy absolutely everything on Earth. That doesn't make fucking any sense to me at all. We're all human in a way. Like, even if you're a human, you're brought on in a colony, you would still look at Earth and be like, wow, that's where we came from. We should respect the planet Earth. We shouldn't invade planet Earth and destroy everybody. If we don't like the government and planet Earth, we shouldn't destroy all those innocent people. We should maybe think of some other strategy. The villain didn't make a lot of sense, and then you kill him off. Then your squad will get suicide, and you'll kill each other. It did have side missions, which were kind of alright. We're kind of meh. Career was okay. The campaign. I mean, the campaign would probably be like maybe a B or C. I'm pretty rough. I'm quite ruthless when it comes to Infinite Warfare's campaign. I know a lot of people would consider it an S tier or an A tier campaign, but I don't think it's as good as everybody says it is. And I played it recently. I played it actually the campaign first time about a month ago. Not on the channel. I played it for the first time by myself, and it was pretty. It was okay. It was decent, but I mean, I put it probably B tier. The campaign was ranking the campaign alone. Multiplayer. A lot of people are sick of Exosuit, and a lot of people want to rid of Exosuit. The multiplayer is not too bad. I actually think it's one of the best Infinity Ward time to kill. It felt like a Treyarch game, which is kind of odd. Felt a lot like a Treyarch Call of Duty game, even though it wasn't made by Treyarch. Don't know if they copied Call of Duty Treyarch's assets at the time or something like that. I don't think they liked that game, but yeah, it was pretty decent. As for the zombies started off very, very strong, but the DLC got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. So, and the multiplayer was also pay to win as well. So the multiplayer was probably more like a B, maybe a C, I'll say a. But you did get all the season pass. If you had the season pass, you did get all the DLC weapons for free though. So I'll give it that. But you still have to pay money for that now. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. But yeah, I think you could do in challenge. Could you do challenges in Infinite Warfare and unlock the weapons? Or was that World War Two? I can't remember. Could you unlock the weapons for free in Infinite Warfare? I think you couldn't. I don't think you could. Also, it also brought back the score streak variants that Advanced Warfare had, which was interesting. I mean, I'm gonna put it at C tier. I'm gonna put it at C tier. I know people are gonna say that's controversial. That is a controversial pick. I know a lot of people, some people consider putting it F tier, but it's not. It's not the worst Call of Duty ever. It's not. I would make the argument to say it's better than Advanced Warfare, and it's better than Call of Duty Ghosts. It's better than those games. It's better in its own right, better than those games. As for Modern Warfare Remastered, okay, just COD 4 but remastered. Okay, let's talk about it. It looks pretty nice. I'll give it that. Campaign's the same. Pretty good first time. Really good first time. But unfortunately, like Call of Duty 4, it's just a remaster, so it didn't like it. All those massive upgrades that COD 4 had over Call of Duty 3 wasn't a thing because it was just a remaster of the original game. So take that in consideration when we're talking about that. So it didn't have all those bonuses that the original Call of Duty 4 had. So that's instantly going to put it down to the A tier. Because then that introduced all those features. It had the same problems as Call of Duty 4, but here's the other problem. It's just microtransactions as well. So that's going to put it down another tier. So I'm going to give it a B tier because of that. I'm sorry, but it was just a remaster of the original Call of Duty 4, but they had more issues. They made it like pay to win, and they had DLC weapons that were more powerful than the vanilla weapons, and it did have cool events. So I'll give it that, but And also, it was really scummy because you had to buy Infinite Warfare to get the game for like the first 6 months when it freaking came out. It didn't come into it didn't come as a separate publish until like June. It was like 40 quid, I'm pretty sure, by its fucking self. Like, fuck that. Also, you had to buy the DLCs as well. You know what? No! In fact, they reached. It's what? No, it's to charge money for the original fucking DLCs getting put down fucking B. Modern Warfare 3 is getting put ahead. Alright. Next is Call of Duty World War II. Okay, where do we begin? Campaign, very, very unrealistic, very unhistorically inaccurate for a World War II game. They get so much wrong. Also, how the fuck can you do a World War II game and only said it in freaking Americans? I know there's some French resistance, but how the frick can you get a game set in World War II and it's literally just the Germans versus the Germans versus the Americans. They didn't even have swastikas in part of the game. I get the trust sense of that shit, but oh man, I mean the campaign is like freaking maybe a 2, maybe a 3 or 10. It also had very, very, very annoying characters in the campaign and all that. So the campaign's like a D. As for the multiplayer when it first came out was really bad. Like the operating system and all that, the multiplayer was like a D as well. But the multiplayer did get better over time, I suppose. The multiplayer did have that good re-overhaul 6 months when that David guy and all that like left. So it did get better over time, but it was a little too late by then. As for the zombies started okay, but then the zombies got worse and 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 worse over time. So had a D tier campaign, maybe had a C tier campaign after multiplayer after, but I mean multiplayer after a bunch of time. The multiplayer did go up to C tier instead of D tier. It was a decent improvement, but that was about it. And the zombies just got worse and worse. So the zombies went to F tier. Multiplayer went to C tier, and the campaign remained D tier. So I'm gonna put it at D tier. I'm gonna be generous. You know, I ranked Call of Duty a few years ago. A couple of years ago, I would have gave that F tier, but if they did not make those improvements to the multiplayer and did not try to fix the multiplayer, I would have gave it an F tier, but they did it. Okay, next is Black Ops 4. So Black Ops 4, I'm not even gonna waste my time and even rank that type of that. They didn't even have a campaign, so I'm not gonna waste my time. I'm gonna be ranking Blackout instead. So let's talk about. We'll start with Blackout, since that was the game that was mostly advertised because they wanted to get better. Blackout plays like a standard battle royale game. It plays like a standard battle royale game, which at the time, yeah, it was alright. I mean, nothing special. But I will say something about Black Ops 4. Blackout did a lot better than Warzone though. And I'm going to count Blackout and I'm not going to count Warzone. And because you had to buy the game to actually have access to Blackout, Brandon Blackout's actually dead on PC, you know, playing console. Which is a little bit unfortunate, but it's the way it is. I hate you can play that prison map. Most people what do you remember people play that? Yeah, I can't remember the name of that. So I had to Resurrection, I think it's called. I didn't play it a lot, let's just say that I think it's like level 40 or something like that. And I sucked at it. I've always sucked at battle royals. It's just the way but I do like it. You really did Blackout a lot better than I would say the new Modern Warfare Warzone. Because we're gonna compare it to Warzone. It was like you could get like the skins and that. You had to do a challenge to get the outfits, not just outright buy them, which was a nice change. So I would give the Blackout like a C tier if I was ranking Blackout alone. As for the multiplayer was a bit different. It had like you had to get health. You had 150 health, and you had to use stim packs in them. It was different. I mean, I don't think the multiplayer was that bad. I mean, me personally, it's kind of like it's not bad multiplayer. I mean, I would say it was a downgrade. It is a downgrade over World at War Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2 for like Treyarch standards. It didn't feel it felt a bit different and it felt a bit strange. It felt like they were trying to copy Overwatch at the time. So I mean, I would probably give the multiplayer like a B. I'd give it bottom a B, maybe C. I'd probably say B. As for zombies, the zombie mode was it was alright. I mean, it had a lot of maps at launch, which was a cool feature, but it was very broken and very glitchy. They had like in the community's opinion, I think I had 2 decent maps at launch and 2 pretty bad maps at launch. You know what maps I'm talking about. And then the maps, it got like an absolute awful map, an 8th tier map. And then it got Ancient Evil, which was decent. Then Alpha and Mega was pretty mediocre, one of the worst zombie endings ever. Yeah, yeah. I'm thinking about all those issues actually. I'm gonna give that a C tier. But I will be generous and I will put it here. I'll put it between Call of Duty 2 and Call of Duty 1. That's what I'm gonna do. I think in a way it was better than Infinite Warfare, but it was better than Call of Duty Ghosts because track games always felt better as well. Plus track was, despite the fact there's always had a lot of problems, yeah, I think it has got better over time. And I did the grind a lot of it, despite the fact despite the fact I didn't like it. Okay, next is Modern Warfare 2019. Modern Warfare 2019. Let's talk about the campaign first. Campaign's actually quite decent. It's actually quite a decent campaign. Granted, it's nothing compared to the original trilogy campaign. Kind of like Call of Duty 4 campaign. It was pretty basic. It didn't. I mean, I know I put Call of Duty 4 in the S tier. I know I put Call of Duty 4 in the S tier, but it but that's because it was a massive improvement over Call of Duty 3. So that's why I gave it higher tier. But Modern Warfare 2019 was kind of just like COD 4's campaign, but obviously I would have gave COD 4 campaign like an A tier. You don't count like what it innovated and what it did for its time zone. So yeah, it's kind of like an A tier. The campaign was pretty decent. Not the best COD campaign, but not the worst. Decent amount. The multiplayer, however, oh god. The multiplayer was absolutely fucking awful. Absolutely overrated as shit. I think a lot of people went back. I think a lot of people think that when they think of Modern Warfare 2019, they think of like the Battle Royale game mode. They don't think of the horrible maps at launch. They don't think of how bad they had like Axe Cave, Piccadilly, those types of absolute maps. And guys, you can't just play Shipment 24/7. You can't just play Shipment and freaking shoot house 24/7 to rank a fucking game. You should not be playing the 2 freaking same bloody maps for an entire year to say, oh, it's a good game. No, no, that is not how you rank multiplayer. You do not play 2 game modes, and that is not how you rank multiplayer. I'm sorry, that is not how you rank multiplayer in a game. But it did get slightly, but also the removal of like Dead Silence, the Dead Silence, and the ability. Oh man, I was really considering putting. I was really thinking about the multiplayer's D tier, but actually having a long think about it and thinking about all the issues Modern Warfare 2019 had, it is a fucking F tier multiplayer. Absolutely awful, absolutely awful multiplayer. As for the Spec Ops mode, oh god man, the Spec Ops mode is freaking dog water as well. The Spec Ops mode is a freaking waste of time. The survival mode, the PlayStation exclusive. Guys, you see that year exclusivity? That did not mean shit. It was that fucking bad. It's like survival mode, but they ruined everything that made survival mode fun. Like, oh, the enemy was just doing more damage over time rather than having it like weight based damage on like the original system. It sucked. It was really bad, really awful. I would give it F tier as well, but I'm going to be generous. I'm going to be generous for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 29, as I think the campaign was decent enough. I'm not putting it in the F tier, but I think it's worse than Call of Duty World War Two overall. It is worse than Call of Duty World War Two over a year. Like 2 F tier game modes does not make up for like one F tier game mode, 1 D tier game mode, and 1 C tier mode. That is what that 2 Fs are lower. 1A and 2 Fs are lower than a A, a C, and a D. I think. Hang on, are they actually? Right. So let's say we give we give F 0 points, right? So if we gave 2 F 0 points, then we give the campaign. So that'd be what 4 points, right? So that'd be 4 points, right? For here. World War Two, it'd be. What did I give World War Two? So I gave the campaign 1 point. Okay, fine. Nah, sorry. I mean, realistically, I probably should put the World War Two because I've added that point system that does make World War Two actually get less points than Modern Warfare 2019. But it's a campaign. It's a campaign. Campaign's not the most replayable thing ever. So I've actually made the decision not to get put them on. All right, as for Black Ops Cold War. Alright, Grackl's Cold War campaign was alright. It was, yeah, I mean, I think it was a bit overrated personally. One of my friends actually really liked the campaign, but it was interesting. But who was the guy you played? Bell, like you infiltrated the spy. However, the ending was quite good. You could make a choice, but the fact is your character never spoke or anything like that, and that was a bit of a downgrade. The spy mission was actually quite cool. The one you infiltrated in that was actually really, really cool. You know what? Fine. I'll be generous. I'll give the campaign an 80. I was really considering giving. Yeah, I'll give it an A. I'll give the campaign an A. Right. All right. Now we go to the multiplayer. Multiplayer did play like additional track Call of Duty multiplayer, but it had fucking awful, absolutely awful skill based matchmaking. Just like Modern Warfare 2019. Also, I forgot to mention Advanced Warfare had absolutely awful fucking skill based matchmaking as well. Actually, I'm thinking about that. I'm putting it lower God for you because I got that caught. Advanced Warfare had really bad skill based matchmaking, but the game did bad, so they cut it and they didn't bring it back until like 2019. I don't know if that's a rumor, but I've seen a bunch of people talk about that before, so I'm not entirely sure about that. I need to research that, but yeah, I'm gonna put Russian coffee because of that. But anyway, Black Ops Cold War. I mean, it played kind of like additional Call of Duty game, but it was the last Call of Duty. It was the last multiplayer that played like a classic Call of Duty multiplayer. It'll be the last Call of Duty game that played like classic. Zombies was alright. I mean, the zombies started off really, really strong to the casual players, but it got worse and worse and worse over time. But it didn't get as worse as some of the other games. Like, I'll give the zombies more like, I'll give it a strong C, maybe a B if I was lucky. A good day, I would give it a B. But that's the way I'm gonna rank it. So, uh, I would give it a C. I'd give it a C tier. It's getting a C tier. And I would put Black Ops 4 ahead of Cold War. Barely. 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 I put it barely ahead of Cold War. I do think Black Ops 4 is a bit better than Cold War. Just slightly better than Cold War. Yeah, that's a hard one. I mean, there's some days I would put Cold War ahead of Black Ops 4, but then there's some days I would put it the other way around. But it's not as good as these games. These games, it's not getting to the B tier in no way. Alright, Vanguard. Oh, God. Vanguard. God. Do we even need to talk about Vanguard? Okay. Campaign, super unrealistic. Oh, the Vanguard group, a bunch of groups working together and all that. That's just so unrealistic. Historically inaccurate, telling you wrong information about what happened back in time. And making up false rumours saying one single soldier affected this battle was Stalingrad. That is the most fucking propaganda nonsense as well. Also, the fact is what it said about the Australian campaign, and the Australian guy said how the British treated the Australians absolutely awful during World War Two. That is not facts. That is unknown, and that is made up. That's it feels like the campaign was made by these types of fucking woke mind individuals that think seriously. I'm not a political channel, but it felt like it was made by people that just hate white men. No offense, it fucking felt like that. And like the Fourth Reich is there as well. I mean, there were rumors of some Fourth Reich, but that was faked up as well. But in the fucking forced diversity, that type of shit. I mean, I know stuff. There was stuff like that, but in World War Two, people were racist and all that type of stuff. I'm just saying historical facts. I know you can't say this type of stuff on the internet, but oh yeah, the campaign's fucking awful. It's F tier. The campaign's F tier. As for multiplayer, my team, enemy team, seriously, lesbian Nazis. I mean, okay, I know. See, if you're gonna set the thing, I don't care about this type of shit in a modern game. I don't fucking care if trans people are fighting or something like that in a modern game. But if you're gonna set the game at fucking World War Two, at least make it somewhat historically accurate. God, at least make it a tiny bit historically accurate. At least make 50% of the game fucking historically accurate. Seriously. At least World War Two. At least World War Two had some historical accuracy to it. Granted, it was mostly fucked up and mostly done really, really bad, but at least it had some. Fucking Vanguard is the complete opposite of historical. I'm sure 10% of the games maybe historic, maybe 25% best case scenario. Holy fuck! At least if you're gonna make a World War Two game, at least make it somewhat fucking realistic. At least make it somewhat historical accurate, or do something like Wolfenstein and just say, oh, it's made up, it's not real. They didn't do that. They didn't do that. They didn't do that. Also, there's some rumors. I remember before Vanguard came out, it said it was going to be like set in the 1950s or something like that. And the Germans like conquered Europe or something like that. And man, that I think that would have been a far more interesting story than what Vanguard turned out to be. The campaign, the zombies. Okay, it has one alright zombie map. It like what Shima Numa remastered, wow. And the rest of the zombies was absolutely fucking awful at launch. Vanguard will remain in F tier for the rest of fucking time. It will remain in F tier forever. The call nobody will remember Vanguard. Nobody will remember. In fact, I didn't even buy Vanguard. That's how fucking bad it is. I played the beta and I was like, I'm not buying this. I played the beta of Vanguard. I'm like, I'm not buying this because I knew it was going to be a disaster. And you know what? I was fucking right. That was the first Call of Duty game I ever skipped, and it was the smartest decision I have ever made. Freaking, you don't force like this type of stuff into games. That's why it flopped. That's why I don't like Slide. That's why I'll never trust Sledgehammer games. Just, in my opinion, Sledgehammer games have never made a good Call of Duty game. I think even the fuck ups in Modern Warfare 3 was done by Sledgehammer game. No joke. I think the fuck ups in Modern Warfare 3. Alright, next we got the newest Call of Duty game. Jesus. I've not bought this game either. I've never played this game. But I knew it was going to suck anyway. But anyway, let's start with the campaign. We'll start with the campaign. Campaign is a downgrade. The campaign is a downgrade over Modern Warfare 2019. I think most people would agree on that. It is a downgrade over Modern Warfare 2019. The Shepherd being the villain and the betrayal was so lame. It was so boring. It had some cool stealth. I had a cool stealth mission and that cool. It's open that and Ghost on that back, and you could see like Ghost's face or something. It was kind of weird. It was alright. I mean, I'd probably give that a B tier. The campaign. Oh god, here we go. Multiplayer. Jeez. Multiplayer. Where do we begin with? It had the same problem with Modern Warfare 2019's multiplayer. In fact, they actually made Modern Warfare 2019's multiplayer kind of worse in a way. They did have slightly better maps, and I guess they did fix the door issue and all that type of stuff. But there's no fucking content. Oh, so the multiplayer's an F tier. No, multiplayer's an F tier. Campaign's a B, multiplayer's F tier. As for like the raids, I mean, survival the Spec Ops bonus Spec Ops by itself F tier, but the raids were sort of interesting. I mean, the raids are all right. I mean, but you're not. Let's be realistic. Are you going to replay the raids? Are you going to replay the raids? No, you're not. You're not going to replay the raids. But I know what people are going to say. They're going to say it was a new Call of Duty game, and you're just hating on it. So I'll give it a D tier. I mean, I personally think it should belong in F, but I mean, the campaign wasn't that. It wasn't like Black Ops 3 campaign. You know, it's much even though I put Black Ops 3 ahead of. So that's my Call of Duty tier list from worst to best to worst in a tier list format. I made a video to like a year or two ago where I put them all in order, best to worst. And I think it was a little bit different than this, but I'm trying to look at this as much as possible from a non-biased perspective. But it's really hard to. Because we all have some good memories of certain games. But Vanguard is just absolutely awful, and I'm glad I skipped that game. And it's that type of stuff. And I will not be buying Modern Warfare 3 either, but I'll be seeing enough gameplay, I'll be seeing enough content creators talk about it that I will to give my opinion on it. But I will not be doing very content on it. But anyway, chat, I will see you all next time. Make sure you like if you're new. Leave a like if you like this, subscribe if you're new, and I will, and of course leave a comment. What's your opinion? What do you think? Do you think Vanguard is an S tier Call of Duty game? Do you think World at War is an F tier Call of Duty? I don't know. Let me know in the comments now. See you all next time. Peace out and bye.